Good afternoon and welcome to Lariat TV News Today. I'm Caroline Waterhouse.
And I'm Meredith Aldis. Thanks for joining us.
Baylor will be getting a new interim provost following Thursday's announcement that Dr. Michael McClendon has resigned due to personal and medical concerns. President Linda Livingstone shared the news via a community-wide email in which she announced that Gary C. Mortensen, Dean of the School of Music, will be stepping in as acting Vice Provost of Administration in the Provost Office. Dr. Gary Carini, Vice Provost of Graduate Professional Education, will oversee the completion of the Illuminate Academic Strategic Plan ahead of the May Board of Regents meeting. Livingstone also wrote that Baylor is close to naming its newest provost as several candidates are already being interviewed for the position. McClendon was appointed in July as interim provost after Greg Jones resigned after 1 year at Baylor.
Students living in the Texana dorm in North Village were evacuated late Wednesday night after a student cooking set off the smoke alarms. A university spokeswoman said a Baylor police officer discovered that boiled over food on a stove set off the alarm. Although there was never an actual fire, the Waco Fire Department was called to the scene and used large exhaust fans to remove the smoke. The spokeswoman said one student was checked by emergency personnel and was found to be okay. The students were allowed back in the building at 12:30 a.m.
Wednesday night, a Baylor alert email was sent out warning students of an assault that happened on South 5th Street and James Avenue near the Tidwell building. The police department said a male assailant in a gray hoodie and gray sweatpants came up behind the victim, who was walking about midnight, and grabbed her around the waist. The student escaped and was not injured. There were no weapons involved, but BUPD is increasing patrols around campus. BUPD encourages students to stay vigilant and follow safety strategies like the buddy system and to not use headphones while traveling around campus at night. If you see suspicious activity or feel threatened in any way, please call the Baylor Police Department or 911.
The 4th Street Bridge above I-35 just north of Martin Luther King Boulevard will be demolished in stages over the weekend. Traffic will be diverted to frontage roads during the demolition, and TxDOT recommends taking different routes to avoid traffic and delays. The bridge demolition is part of a plan to completely redo I-35 through Waco. The demolition is set to be completed by 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Clean, renewable energy, that's the future, according to the Department of Energy and Dr. Von Juan, who is leading a new research project. LTVN's Meredith Aldis has the story.
A Baylor professor became interested in renewable energy at a young age after reading her older brother's textbooks. That passion has driven her to pursue a career in renewables and energy systems.
He would bring home his textbooks, and I was especially drawn to his power systems textbooks. And I would read through them and highlight for him, and in fact, I still have that textbook today.
Dr. Von Juan is a professor in the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering and is leading the new research project of converting waste methane into liquid fuel.
This is a variac, so in other words, I can control the input from the wall only up to 120 volts. But then inside this box is where I have my power electronics converter, where I'm boosting that voltage to 3,000 volts.
She plans to have future projects worked on at the BRIC.
For example, on electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles, to have a chassis dynamometer test bed where you can drive that electric vehicle right up a ramp, and you can do all of the performance testing.
1 more year and Dr. Von Juan plans on springboarding her research into commercialization. For Lariat TV News Today, I'm Meredith Aldis.
Student elections came to an end on Tuesday, and the university now has its 2018-2019 student body president. Hannah Causey won the student presidential race against Austin Allaire. Causey captured nearly 55% of the student votes. Tuesday's final count was the result of a runoff election that was called after Causey and Allaire failed to win a majority margin of votes in the regular election. Causey, who served as the external vice president this year, ran on a platform of campus accessibility and safety. The president-elect said she feels honored to have been elected into office and is excited to continue her student government tenure in this new position. Caroline, do you know how many floors are in the Baylor Science Building?
4, right?
Actually, there's 5. We'll tell you what's on the 5th floor when we come back.
It's not just a school to me, it's home.
Everyone's there to help you and to see you succeed.
Challenging.
You're like, I'm here, I can do this.
Friends.
Friendship.
Relationships.
There's people that know you and people that are there for you around every corner.
It's the shared experience. Rigorous.
growth.
Transformative. Tradition.
Tradition.
Faith.
I've loved every second of it. It's family.
It's home.
It's Baylor.
Baylor's law school has set a national record with the highest ultimate bar passage rate in the U.S. The news comes after the American Bar Association released data confirming that 100% of Baylor Law's 2015 graduates passed the bar exam within 2 years after graduation. The exam, which is a requirement for those seeking to practice law in Texas, is taken by various candidates every year in February and July. This year, the average 2-year passage rate for the 2015 graduate class was 87.83%, according to the American Bar Association.
Human trafficking is a widespread issue in the United States and around the world. But for one Baylor student, the issue hits closer to home. LTVN's Riley Sievers has the story.
When Amber Katinsky was 14 years old, her family adopted 2 boys, and their story was anything but ordinary. Kola and Vlad were brought to the United States for human trafficking. A pimp had arranged for a man and his family from Florida to adopt the boys from Russia. The plan was for him to eventually take custody.
When the boys came to Florida, they didn't even have a room ready for them. They locked them in the master bedroom for 3 months on end, unable to leave the room. If they left the room, they were beat.
Relatives of the middleman were unaware of the trafficking scheme and took the boys from him when they sensed that something was wrong. They put word out about the 2 boys who needed a home, and that's how Katinsky's mother found Vlad and Kola.
She had met a woman at the post office named Mila who was on the phone speaking Russian, and they got into conversation. My mom shared how she wanted to adopt 2 twin Russian boys. Mila said that's interesting because there is a Russian community email that's going around in Orlando that these 2 boys from Russia need a home.
Katinsky said even though Vlad and Kola didn't become part of the family until she was 14, she can't remember a time without them. Their experience has made her want to work to help others who are victims of human trafficking.
We are in this together and ready to change the world, one life at a time.
It really has sparked my passion for where I want to go with my life. I want to open up a human trafficking safe house now because I can't imagine life without my brothers, and I can't imagine if they had not been rescued what their life would have looked like or if they would even be alive today.
To truly understand, Katinsky said people need to recognize that human trafficking is happening all around us. The International Labor Organization estimates that there are 20.9 million victims of human trafficking worldwide. And according to the Human Trafficking Hotline, there were 8,524 reported cases of human trafficking in the United States in 2017.
To see their lives be radically transformed, just coming here and knowing that they're safe in a family that loves them has been really refreshing and encouraging, and kind of ignited a fire for me to be able to be an advocate and a voice for the ones who are silenced and voiceless.
Reporting for Lariat TV News Today, I'm Riley Sievers.
Beginning in June, the Mayborn Museum will feature an exhibit dedicated to the Titanic. It has over 200 artifacts from the Titanic. Assistant Director of Exhibitions Rebecca Anal said all the artifacts were recovered from the wreckage and some will be used to replicate parts of the ship. Visitors will be assigned a character when they enter the exhibit, which represents an actual passenger on the ship. It will also highlight the construction of the Titanic and what life was like on board. At the end of the exhibit, visitors will find out the fate of their character, which Museum Director Charlie Walter said will make the visit more impactful. The exhibit opens June 2nd and will remain at the Mayborn through the rest of 2018.
The 5th floor of the BSB, also called the penthouse level, is home to labs full of animals used for Baylor students' research. Veterinarian and Animal Program Director Dr. Ryan Stofall is the man in charge of overseeing these animals. The laboratory was recently renovated in a $5 million project about a year and a half ago. It is now the home of 1,800 mice, 60 rats, and 1,500 fish. The animals are tested on behaviors relating to anxiety, memory, learning, seizures, and autism, with additional research in breast cancer and hearing or deafness. Precautions are continually being made within the laboratory to ensure health regulations are upheld. Some projects include painful procedures like surgery. Deborah Holland, Assistant Vice Provost for Research, says they often encourage researchers to use other types of testing that don't involve animals to limit the number of these procedures.
A nonprofit business organization, the Dallas Regional Chamber, is working to make the Dallas-Fort Worth area more attractive to businesses in Amazon's HQ2 project. The Director of Innovation at the Dallas Regional Chamber is Baylor grad Natalie Fletcher. She and her team work to get DFW companies to grow and stay in the area. Last year, the Chamber was able to successfully persuade Toyota to relocate their headquarters to Plano. Their next goal is Amazon. Dallas-Fort Worth made it on the top 20 list for potential locations for Amazon's second headquarters, so the Dallas Regional Chamber has high hopes for winning the bid on Amazon. The WNBA draft was last night.
And we might see a Lady Bear reunion in Atlanta next season. We've got sports coming up next.
It's not just a school to me, it's home.
Home. Everyone's there to help you and to see you succeed.
Challenging.
Like, I'm here, I can do this.
Friends.
Friendship.
Relationships.
There's people that know you and people that are there for you around every corner.
It's the shared experience. Rigorous.
Growth.
Transformative. Tradition.
Tradition.
Faith.
Faith.
I've loved every second of it. It's family.
It's home.
It's Baylor.
Former Lady Bear Christy Wallace is taking her talents to the WNBA. Wallace was selected 16th overall in the WNBA draft Thursday night by the Atlanta Dream, the same team that drafted former Lady Bear Nia Johnson in 2016. The Australian native is the 14th Lady Bear to be drafted all-time and the first to be selected in the second round. Wallace is one of only 3 players to dish out 500 career assists for Baylor and led the Lady Bears in assists this season before tearing her ACL in the regular season final. The Baylor baseball team will wrap up its season-long 7-game road trip this weekend in Memphis against the Memphis Tigers at FedEx Park. Baylor is looking to build their momentum after its 4-2 12th-inning win Tuesday night against Sam Houston State. The Bears will need to lean on sophomore catcher Shea Langoliers to lead the team, as it was found out on Wednesday that Langoliers will play for the 2018 USA Baseball Collegiate National Team, marking Baylor's first representative since 2008. Baylor volleyball sophomore Josiana Presley had an impressive season, and her year continues to get better. After winning Big 12 Freshman of the Year, unanimous first-team All-Big 12 member, and an American Volleyball Coaches Association honorable mention All-American selection, Presley earned a spot on the 2018 U.S. Women's Collegiate National Team Detroit roster. Presley is the 4th Bear selected to the national team in the last 5 years, with the last player selected in 2016. Presley will join 23 other athletes at the University of Michigan to train before being split into 2 12-player rosters. The teams will then play each other at the Cobo Center June 27th, 28th, and 30th. After its 5-game winning streak was snapped by McNeese State Wednesday afternoon, Baylor's 16th-ranked softball team is looking to bounce back this weekend as they head to Stillwater.
Every game from here on out, I think I said this yesterday, is a game that we have the potential and the ability to win. So we just got to play better ball, because we also can get beat by anybody we're playing that kind of ball.
The Lady Bears will face the Oklahoma State Cowgirls for its second straight Big 12 road weekend in a 3-game series. Junior pitcher Gia Rodoni will need to step up her game in the circle, as she had a tough start, allowing 5 runs in the loss to McNeese State. The 25th ranked Baylor women's tennis team has a busy weekend ahead, as they will host 4 matches with doubleheaders on Friday and Sunday. Friday, the Lady Bears will host Louisiana Tech at 10:30 a.m. and West Virginia at 5 p.m. On Sunday, it will be senior day for Baylor, and they will recognize the lone senior on the team, Teresa Van Zyl, prior to the start of the last match against UT Arlington. Earlier in the day, the Lady Bears will try to win in a Big 12 matchup versus Iowa State at 1 p.m., and Baylor is currently 2-4 in Big 12 play this season, but they have the opportunity to reach the 500 mark with wins this weekend. And that's a look at sports heading into this weekend.
And that's Lariat TV News today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.